Welcome to the Marketing Mortgages Social for Brokers podcast. Today I have with me Jude Clayton, who is the director and founder of House of Mortgages, and also Mizu. I have to be careful the way I say that to try and get the pronunciation right, which is a CRM system that Jude has developed with her brother, which we'll get into, which is purely for mortgage advisors. Now, Jude has been in the industry for over 25 years now, won lots and lots of awards, and now manages her team of 10 staff and does mortgage advice as well. So I know a lot of people will love to hear how Jude balances those two things. And then because that wasn't enough, she decided to develop that CRM system with her brother. So we're going to talk about how Mizu can benefit the brokers today as well. So Jude, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Chris.
I have been trying to get Jude on this podcast for probably about 2 years. So Jude said it was 2024 goal, wasn't it? Goal to get on this podcast, but a goal to start getting out there and doing a few more podcast guest appearances, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I thought I'd challenge myself, Chris, this year.
And you did you do a live video with your mentorship group or your coaching group?
Yeah, and I watched it back as well, which was awful to do. But yeah, I did do it. I did do it.
Did you do that one live with a lot of questions firing in at you at the time as well?
Yeah, and no idea what was coming next. Yeah, it was good fun.
Do you sometimes find that's a bit easier when you get questions on the spot? You don't overthink them so much, whereas if you ask to write a script about them, it's sometimes a bit harder, isn't it?
It is harder, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it is.
So how is business then in between all these video and podcast appearances that you've been doing?
Our business is great at the moment, yeah. It's busy. There's lots more activity in the market. I think that buyers are back. Certainly the estate agents that introduce business to us are finding the same, which is really good for us because we've got really close relationships with our introducers. So, we have quite a lot of leads coming through now, and seems to be a lot of people are back out there. The new rates are the new norm. I feel that is becoming, that is the situation now. So, yeah, it's good.
And you think like mortgage rates were the hot topic for the last 6 months, and then do you think because all the politicians are fighting amongst each other, that's kind of taken the headlines now instead of saying, oh, Santander have dropped their rates or Nationwide? Just, you know what I mean? It's taken a bit off the boil.
It's taken the shine off the big spotlight that was over rates on a daily basis, wasn't it? So, I do think that the politics has taken over a little bit, which is a good thing. It's a nice release for now. Yeah.
Exactly. So, Jude, you've obviously seen lots of different markets over the last 25 years that you've been in the industry. You've obviously been through the recession. You've been through the lease trusts of September a couple of years ago. So you've seen everything. I really want to deep dive into your experiences within the market and how you manage those ups and downs. But before we get into those, could you give us a background of how you got into the industry, please?
I first started in the industry when I was 18. I used to work in an estate agency. So very quickly, I was doing viewings and valuations and all that kind of thing. But very quickly, I kind of had my eye on the mortgage advisor, and I was like, I really want to do that job. So when I was 21, I went to the director of the estate agency and the financial services director and asked him if I could be a mortgage advisor. And he turned me down because he said I was too young. So I kept being persistent as I am, and they then wanted a mortgage administrator. So I volunteered and then was administrator for two of the top performers in the region. So I then, it kind of grew from there, and I run a team from Congleton in Cheshire with about 4 other administrators. And then they closed it down. And they rang me and said, we're closing it. And I'm like, oh, God, what does that mean for me? And they said, but we want to offer you trainee advisor. So I said, right, yeah, I'm up for that. So I'll do that. So I went on the journey of getting into the mortgage world when I was kind of 21, which was many, many years ago. And just went from there, really. Worked as an advisor within a corporate organisation in an estate agency. Left, went to do financial planning in a bank. So I went to work for HSBC. And then after that, went back as an area manager for some advisors within the same estate agency. So I actually went back and ran a team But I, at the time, got a little bit frustrated because I always thought this isn't a difficult thing to do. And why did people not do what I did or what I asked them to do?
Yeah.
And then eventually I left and I took the plunge into self-employed role. So it was a big step for me because I'd kind of been protected by this bubble of corporate life and really enjoyed it, really enjoyed, the dues, the awards, all of that it entails. And, but made a decision to not feel compromised really in what I wanted to achieve and what I wanted to deliver for customers. Because in that corporate world, there is often, you can't do this or you can't do that, or you're told things that, you maybe don't agree with and, you really want to go the extra mile for your customer. So I made the decision to go into self-employed world and was there for about 4 years. That company was then taken over by another big corporate. And I didn't really want to be in that corporate world again. So I'd kind of just taken the biggest mortgage I could afford on my self-employed income. I was on my own with my daughter. I had spent a lot of money doing up a house and I had zero money. So I decided I'm going to set up a business. And at the time, it was really for just to understand that I really just wanted to earn a living from this. And I was just me on my own, had no desire to grow a team or to bring house mortgages to what it was, but it very quickly evolved. And I loved the business side of it then and got a real buzz for growing a team and dealing with different personalities in a team and how you manage those people. So I did that and have grown a team successfully, but not without some learning points, I would say. My new mantra is you win or you learn. So, there's no failures. It's just winning or learning. So, and I think by keeping that mindset, you kind of don't beat yourself up about the mistakes that you might make sometimes because you don't get it right all the time. And, it is important for me, the culture that I kind of deliver within the team as well, because I really care for the team that I've got. And, we try and grow them personally as well as professionally. And that's really at the heart of what I do, because I believe that the energy that you give to your team will then, they give that energy to your clients. And that then is like a ripple effect. And that is why we get so much business from, referrals from existing clients now. But we don't get it right all the time. So that's where I am. Yeah.
Awesome. What background. I love that you've got kind of an understanding from the estate agency. I've been in a mortgage broker in that area. You've done the corporate of the banking world. Then you did self-employed. Then you set up your own business. So you've got a real understanding of everybody that listens to this podcast. You've been in their shoes. So the things that you're going to speak about today are going to be so valuable for these. And this is why I'm really looking forward to it. So we've got your background. We understand where you've been and how you've got to where you are now. Could you tell us what your normal week looks like at the moment of running the business?
The normal week, we start off on a Monday with a motivational Monday session with all the team. So we have everyone in sight at 8:30 till 9:30. Sometimes we have providers in. Sometimes we do some motivational mindset stuff. This week we had a nutritional coaching, just talking about well-being and hydration and how to help you focus and, all of that kind of stuff. We've had people who talk about stress in the workplace. We have various different guests in on a Monday just to talk to the team. Then it's kind of, my days mostly start about 5:30 in the morning.
Wow, really?
Yeah. I do start my day with gratitude. I do go to the gym 2 or 3 times a week. 3 really is where my goal is. And I do work usually until around 7 in the evening. So, so I do a long day most days. Sometimes I'll work on a weekend. So if my staff are off on holidays, I'll quite often come in and jump in and do appointments on a Saturday. So mostly I try to keep it to Monday to Friday now and do 5 days.
Okay, wow. So how much of that is mortgage advice and how much of that is running the business?
It depends. And I think that's important that you can pivot between the two, because majority of what we do is about empowering the team to make the decisions they need to on a daily basis and understanding where they're going. So you've really got to lead your team and give them direction, and turn up with good energy and, make sure that they can deliver the service to your customers. I have very strong processes in place. So I'm very process driven. So everybody understands what their part in the kind of the body of House of Mortgages look like, and they deliver those results, so that it means that I can do one-to-ones with the client, with the staff, and also do the advising at the same time. So I would say 70% of what I do is probably still advising. I try to step back from it a little bit, and then I get kind of dragged back into it again. And the rest is probably leading the team. But I have a lot of support with, with Paul, who's like Chief Technology Officer now. So he does quite a lot of the figures, and our systems help us to minimise the effort in terms of numbers and figures that we have in the business. Yeah.
So it's interesting you talk about processes, because a lot of people that run a very efficient business that I've had on the podcast, it's all about processes. How do you instill those processes, or how do you train those processes to the team when somebody new starts? And like on a really low level, is it in a Word document? Is it in a paper file? How do you train them to do the things your way?
So we have, when a new person comes into the business, we start with a checklist. So we have a checklist for that member of staff, so they know exactly what they need to learn. And then I sign it off. So I need to check their understanding. I need to make sure that they can actually do the things that we need them to do. But also, that is in literally a Word grid form with a tick box, and we both sign. And then every week we meet and we have half an hour together and say, right, explain to me this. Do you understand that? Show me. A lot of show me how comes back from me, and then we sign it off. Then what we also do is we have a drive, so we call it the home drive, and we have it all in OneDrive, and there is literally, we have a process folder in there for every single process, checking a mortgage offer, how do you complete a file, what needs to be done. We have a checklist for absolutely everything, but it makes it very simple, so they know where to go, so it's all in one place, and we have every single process from signing, setting up a file, what we have to do, what dates need to be entered to make sure we capture the right information, and that is all in OneDrive. So it's all there. Okay. We have a process and admin folder, and my team actually add to it. So if processes change with lenders or providers, we just alter those documents. So it's quite straightforward.
So having them all in one place. I just wanted to get that on for the listeners, because everybody says get processes, but how do we actually create those? Do you guys use, I'm sure, so Paul, your brother, is like, I've spoken to him before, he is insanely technically minded. So he probably does this, but does he use things like Loom or on-screen recordings for stuff like that?
Yeah, we do, yeah. So when we ring him and ask him how to compress a PDF file, he sends us a video now.
Awesome. So for anybody that's listening, I wanted to bring that up because it's really, when I found it was a game changer. So it's Loom, which is LOOM.com. And what it does is you just hit record, and it records your screen or your browser window with a little icon of you in the bottom left. And then when you record, you press stop. You can do 5-minute videos for free, and you can do up to 25 videos. You just copy that link, send it to somebody, and they can watch your on-screen recordings. It's incredible, isn't it?
It's brilliant. Yeah, it is brilliant.
Great for processes like, for example, this is how you fill out a fact find, or this is how you attach an AIP to an email, things like that. So if you haven't checked that out, go and take a little look at loom.com. So what would you say is the hardest part of running the business at the minute, Jude? Well, just of all time.
It's getting the right team in place, I think, is the most difficult. It's getting the right people when you're trying to deliver a culture that is somewhere that people want to be. And we've had a couple of people into the business in the last couple of weeks, and they said, we just love the feeling when we come in here. And that is just what we want to achieve, because people actually like working here, and you want to be able to support your people, because they're all going to have challenges personally. But you've got to care about your team, and they are people. They're not just there to deliver a service, to you for an amount of money. And that is really important. But I think it's about getting the right people. I find some of it is making sure that from a time point of view, it's time consuming training new people, but I train them because I know that when I do the training, that they then go into it understanding the why behind what we do all of the time. And that is really important, because I always say there's a method in my madness. And, they're like, why do we do this? And I like why people who ask lots of whys, because then they have a real true understanding of what you're trying to achieve. But I think it is about juggling. For me, certainly at the minute, as the team's got bigger, the biggest challenge I've had is being able to juggle the advising and also delivering a service to clients, but making sure that my team are okay as well. And that's quite hard.
I was going to say, so this is a question for you. Could you ever get to a point where you took a step back, put a manager in place to train your staff? Could you ever see that happening?
That is in the plans now,
right,
for early next year, that we will have someone who's managing perhaps the administrative team, and then that enables, because that's the most time consuming part, is the can you just show me, can you tell me where's this, where's that, and can I just check this, because I do demand quite high standard. That is so that we deliver to the customers, and we do go the extra mile with customers. So that part of it's quite time consuming, but it's what they need. So we help to put offers in on properties for clients. We get all the documents to the estate agents. We update all the agents with all of the progress all the way through, as well as the client. So everybody's in the loop. So we're very much right in the middle of the transaction, rather than just doing a job and going, there's your mortgage offer, have a nice life, see you in 5 years. We're very much about building relationships with customers, because, we see them get married, have kids, sometimes get divorced. We support them through the whole life process, not just transactional. Because a lot of people have the misunderstanding that mortgages are transactional and that's it. But we're more about building relationships with customers for the long term, and we have them coming back. So
you need to train that manager to be able to deliver that same why and with that same passion, doesn't it?
Yes, and that is hopefully what I deliver. We think I'm bonkers most days, but it's good.
Your manager needs to be bonkers then, that's who you need to hire.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
One question that we started to ask, which people love the answers to, and this might tie into Mizu, the CRM system that you've built as well. What's your favourite tool that you use to run your business?
I have to say our system, really, along with calendars, but it is the whole Microsoft suite that we use. But that very much is in connection with our system, and it all links to Outlook calendars. My calendar is my life. I would have no clue what I was doing unless I had my calendar. So I do have to say that the calendar is the thing. My entire life is in my calendar. People just find it very, very amusing, because it is literally every gym session, every meeting, every client meeting, every call, everything is in the diary, because otherwise you run out of time.
Yeah.
And that's something I've learned, because as you get more responsibility and have more plates and more plates to spin, more hats to wear, you have to be really strict with your time. And it was a thing that I looked at maybe 4 years ago, of where I could make wins in terms of time. And we all waste time doing things, don't we? That are unnecessary. So, those kind of things, very important, the calendar. Yeah.
So calendar is very important to you. And then the CRM system, talk us through how you developed it, why you developed it, and how you could help other people with it.
So when I employed my brother in the business, I was getting increasingly frustrated being a person who likes to talk to people, involved in spreadsheets and many more spreadsheets. And then you get introducers who want to know, well, how many referrals have we sent to you? How many of those have you signed up? Trawling through emails to try and get the data, then putting it into a spreadsheet. It was very time consuming, and I really don't have the head capacity for it at all. It's not my strength. So when I brought my brother into the business, we didn't sit down with the intention of building a system. That we need to make that clear. We didn't go out to do that. What we wanted to do was take the things that we were spending like the most time and energy on, and to make the most complex things very simple. So it made it kind of made the lives of staff easier. It made it easier for me. It gave birth then to a system, to Mizu. Now, it was all built on the Japanese pillars of efficiency. So the business was called Kaizen, and it's all about continuous development, because as good as you get, there's always like a gap. So you know what you should do. It's like mortgage brokers who get very busy doing mortgages, maybe don't contact their customers for protection. So, you know, and it's that knowing doing gap, and the things that you know you should do, but you know you've got a gap, and this system helped us to deliver and fill the gap. And it's very, very, very simple. So it saved multiple keying on a single source. Now all the data's built into Power Apps. You know, it gives us life cycle events. So like birthdays for customers, the remortgage dates, every bit of data that goes into that system is used for a life cycle event. So that in the future, we're not relying on human beings picking a task list off and hoping that one of them's going to call to book a client in for a remortgage, for example, or a protection review. So we've simplified our interactions with introducers as well. So like we have lots of introducers who come on board, and they do want to know, you know, how successful are they being? You know, we run training sessions with their staff, but then, you know, is that working? You know, is it fit for purpose? Do they need something else? So they now have like a system that every single week they know how many leads they've referred, how many first appointments have shown up. It actually, when we book an appointment from our system, it tells the estate agent that we've booked an appointment, so they know that it's been done. So it saves, it's building trust with your introducers, because then that drives more business. And I think that, you know, not working off spreadsheets is an absolute dream. I hate it. So we only use our system that we have for compliance for our network, and we only use Mizu, and that is it. That is the only thing we use.
So really
refreshing.
simplified it.
Very simple, and every single member of staff is trained on that system when they come in. So everything works seamlessly together. And you know, it was only born out of a frustration of we're spending all of this time doing these things, very simple, small things, but every single minute that you can save in a day means that you can see another customer, and that helps to build profitability and growth within your business, and it just accelerates it really. And it also helps you to have a headline and understand how your business works, because you know, you kind of get very busy in a world of just seeing people and submitting applications, and you know, and not really working on your business and just doing business. And there is a difference. And it took me a few years to get to that point where I was just a very busy fool. And it allows your staff to concentrate on delivering a service to your customer, not filling in another spreadsheet or putting a number on a chart somewhere. It was like they can just focus solely on the service that they give to the customer and going the extra mile and having the time to do it. So it is really been transformed the business. It's enabled us to grow a lot quicker.
This is a CRM system that's been built by mortgage advisors, so you know there's things in there that other people want, and you've been essentially giving people the opportunity to use this CRM system, haven't you? Other mortgage companies have now started adopting your CRM system, haven't they?
Yes, and I think it's a system that's built for brokers by brokers. So, you know, we understand, because we were looking at lots and lots of CRM systems, and there wasn't any out there at the time that kind of did exactly what we wanted to do. So there was always going to be, we've still got to do that on this system, or we've still got to do that. So we are continually developing that system as well. So there's lots of really exciting things coming with that at the moment as well, you know, which our clients will get. So it is, it's been life-changing. It wasn't set up in the first place to let's build a system. It was that, you know, I'm very much mindset and a small bit of strategy. My brother is complete strategy and you know, and mindset as well. He's got a great mindset. But I think for me, having a headline from a business when you're doing advising and managing, there's this thing where you just need a headline over, well, who's performing and what are they doing, and how much business is being written, and how many mortgages are we doing to protection cases, and is every client got their business and content with us, and it really helps to get really, really clear understanding of what's going on in your business, and being able to create reports that you want to see, you know, not just something that somebody else has asked, oh, I want to report on this. We can just go, yeah, we can have whatever reports we want. And it's all bespoke. So it is bespoke to the life cycle events that any business wants to have built into that system we can build. So it's very clever.
Awesome. So before we get into the social media, if anybody does want to have a chat to you about Mizu, then make sure you reach out to Jude and say you've listened to Jude on this podcast and have a chat with her. Where's the best place for them to reach out to you, Jude?
They can send me a message through LinkedIn. That's probably the best way. And then I can touch base with them then. We may do some group sessions on, you know, kind of showing, you know, like a demonstration of the system and how it actually works.
Perfect. So that's Jude Clayton, which is Jude, and then Clayton, Claton. So have a little look on LinkedIn and reach out to Jude if you want to have a chat about the system. So social media. You are you're one of our clients, so we do all your business content. We've done it for probably about 2 years now.
Yeah.
We've been doing your content for. But I want to speak about the bits in between that you do. So you are quite personal on social media in the sense that you share photos of the team. Like there was a photo of your daughter who was working in the office making up a chair the other day. Can you talk to us about the benefits of doing that type of content on social media, Jude?
I think that, you know, the single best thing that we ever did was started to outsource social media, trying to do it yourself. The quality of what I can produce is nowhere even on a patch of what you guys do. So I'm very grateful for that. And, you know, the personal stuff is more about kind of, you know what, we are real people. I do have a teenage daughter who doesn't want to get out of bed until dinner time. You know, that is real stuff, real life stuff. And who hasn't got a job and wants a job. So I kind of asked her to come in my Saturday girls been off. So I was like, come and build folders. Oh, here's some chairs you can build as well. So there was, you know, and it's showing the real side of behind the scenes really of the business. It is important. I love my team. I call them Team Awesome. They are an amazing bunch of people. And, you know, I do take them out. We have fun activities together. We have got a big barbecue as a company where I'm going to cook a lot of burgers, I think, and sausages the summer. So their kids will come. We'll do, I'll have a bouncy castle in the garden for the kids. You know, we'll have a DJ. It'll be a good time for us just to escape from the world of mortgages and just have a good time together. And that is really important because you do spend a lot of time with people at work. So it's nice if you like the people you work with. And I really do. So, you know, that is important, but it's also important for people to understand that, you know, we also have lives outside of our working kind of official. This is what the latest rates are. And, you know. Yeah,
it shows people that personal side, as you said, that personal side to your business, but it's a conversation starter. Like I've just started that conversation about seeing the photo of your daughter making up a chair. That's what can break down the barriers that people might be a bit hesitant to speak to you about their finances at the beginning. But if they realise you're a real person and your daughter's working in there on a Saturday, it's something that can break down those barriers. You do it a lot. You talked about your team a lot and you share a lot of photos with their birthdays and things like that, which is fantastic. You also on social media, you're quite keen to have an online relationship with the estate agents and your clients with Rightmove links. Can you talk about what you do on social media with your estate agents and your clients?
Yeah, so we do share posts, and I think it's quite important to, in your own local area as well, to just recognise that there's lots of other businesses around you as well. And we often don't tap into that. And, you know, you want to support other local business people, don't you, really? You know, because it's not an easy thing to do. Anyone who runs a business will know that it's not always easy. But it's also about supporting them. That helps to build the relationship. So if you share your clients' kind of properties on Rightmove, for example, that really, you know, you want them to be able to sell their house. And if you can help facilitate that, you know, I've made calls where I've actually matched buyers and like sellers together. Yeah, I've kind of gone into my old estate agency head and went, oh, I bet they'd really like that house. And, and just kind of forwarded them the link and, kind of matched people up to sort their viewings out. We have got really good estate agency, strong connections with estate agency, but supporting them in kind of sharing their stuff adds to the trust of, we trust you, we know that you're good at what you do, and you refer people to us. And that is about building that side of the business in terms of introducers. And it is my world, it's estate agency. Yeah.
That's it, it's a support of the estate agency, it's your old business, but it's supporting more local businesses. And like you said, it's tough running the business. So anybody listening to this is your call to action. After this podcast, go and share a local business's post to your Facebook or your Instagram page, because it will really help them and it will help you strengthen that relationship. Now, before we ask the strategy question, which I know everybody loves to hear on this podcast, we donate £10 to a charity of your choice for saying thank you for coming on. So which charity did you want us to make the donation to, Jude?
Compassion for Children, please.
Perfect. And you told me about this charity before we jumped on. Can you just give us a bit of an insight? Because I think it's a fantastic initiative.
Yeah, they on a monthly basis, we donate a small amount of money to help children in, all over the world really, but primarily in India, where they have no food and most of the children don't work or ever get jobs or an education. So that helps to pay for their clothes, their uniform, their food, they get fed and they get educated as well. So that is like a monthly subscription. I've been supporting a little girl there for quite a long period of time. And, they write letters and we can write back and wish them happy birthday. And she tells us about the fruit and the things that are growing in their country and, how simple life is in other countries, really. But, just that they really appreciate that input from people who invest in their future, really.
Fantastic. Yeah. We'll definitely make that donation for you. So now with the strategy question, we're going to pretend that you've moved to the north of Scotland. You've got a laptop, a mobile phone and an internet connection. What would you do to start generating new mortgage business?
I think the first thing for me would be do what you know best, and I would definitely be in touch with local estate agencies, and that is where I would absolutely start. It's something I'm passionate about. It's something where we take a lot of work off their hands and we sales chase all the way through. I would contact you, Chris, of course, to deal with the social media side and getting us out there on Facebook and Instagram, and also getting into the local community, because there's often local communities around you that you're not even aware of. There's lots of groups, there's lots of networking events that are going on. So I probably would get very local with agents and people, really, and local businesses. Yeah.
That boils back to everything that you've done up until now. It's your completely about the people. Throughout this whole episode, you've talked about the people in your business, the people as your clients, your team, the people that are surrounding you. So it's all about that face-to-face interaction, online interaction, where you're building relationships, and that's what brings the leads ultimately, isn't it? Yeah. We were speaking before we came on the podcast. We didn't speak about this earlier. Jude and I were talking about how tough last year was, and you were saying how sometimes you'd have to change rates 3 or 4 times. But in the hope that by helping them last year, in 2 or 3 years' time, they'll come back to you or they'll refer people back to you. So it's having that foresight into the future, isn't it? About those people coming back. So it's all about the people for Jude. Jude, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. It took us 2 years to get you here, but we'll not leave it as long next time. We'll be interesting to do one next, kind of like this time next year, and say, right, if you have put a manager in place in the beginning of 2025, how did that feel, almost handing over the reins to somebody else?
Yeah, I might be on holiday, Chris. You never know.
We'll never hear from Jude again. Thank you very much for your time, Jude. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks.